Raiden Shogun, the Electro Archon, is getting another rerun. So again, it's that time of the year to sell your left kidneys to drown whoever's in tax receipts. So if you were planning for pulling for her, or you were not, don't worry, I'll convince you. Yeah, so for this one time, here's... Yes, you should pull for Raiden. Raiden Shogun is the Electro Archon, as I said before, and that in itself is already a good enough reason for many of you to pull for her. But who am I kidding? Everybody knows why people pull for her. Exactly. But seriously, I don't think it's any secret that pretty much every Archon is a very good character. And Raiden is in fact one of the big three. Raiden's kit makes her very strong in many different situations. She's a very versatile unit, especially after the release of Dendro. And yes, this time I will give Dendro more than a single sentence. Raiden's kit has two highlights, her skill and her burst. So just get the boring normal and charge attack out of the way first. They both deal some amount of physical damage. The end. Raiden's skill gives you an eye. This one, what it basically does is on use deals some electro damage, and then for the next 25 seconds whenever any character, including herself, deals any kind of damage, normal, skill or burst, deals a follow-up electro slash sort of attack that again deals some amount of electro damage. This is the ability that was initially a nice addition that could have been used as a decent sub DPS source, but now with Dendro became absolutely insane. Now what I said about Raiden being a versatile unit is in no way an overstatement. This somewhat logically disabled goddess can fit in so many different team comps. If we talked about them all, I'll be here all day editing this shit. So for now, I'm only gonna talk about three arguably most popular and powerful teams: Hyper Bloom, Rational, and Hyper Carry. Starting with Hyper Bloom, this is the one that makes use of her skill. As Hyper Bloom is a transformative reaction, meaning it deals its own instance of damage aside from the attack causing it. As we already saw, the damage scaling of this ability is nothing special, but since Hyper Bloom doesn't really depend on the scaling, it doesn't matter. And to its benefit, this skill does just about everything perfectly for a Hyper Bloom team. Deals AoE damage so it can react with multiple Dendro cores, attacks every 0.5 seconds so it can be used consistently, has more than 100% uptime so don't need to wait for a cooldown. After the release of Dendro, Raiden has become an even more prominent character to the point she's just broken. She's pretty much the best choice for the Electro in a Hyper Bloom team.
Are you sure about that?
Okay, so yeah, we can't forget about Electro Kokomi. Raiden is amazing, but she's also a 5-star, meaning she needs investment, while Kuki, that many players actually prefer over Raiden, is a 4-star, making her economically superior. But if we just ignore the price value here, which is better amongst these two? That's the difficult question to answer. In terms of pure DPS, Raiden has the edge overall. She can apply Electro significantly more consistently, deals more damage, and can be effective over much wider distances, while Kuki can also heal, so she can play two roles in a Hyper Bloom team. Another advantage Raiden has over Kuki is her skill's 100% uptime. She can continuously provide Electro non-stop as opposed to a C0 Kuki. However, assuming even you get her to C2, Raiden's 25-second uptime is still a quality of life improvement over Kuki's 15. In terms of building, neither scales on EM on Ascension, so you'll have pretty much the same experience with either. Did I mention Hyper Bloom skills on EM? In terms of weapon, they both have free-to-play options like the Iron String and Mood Pacer or Kitan Crossspear. What of the infamous the catch you've been hearing so much about? Well, I guess this is where we switch gears. I don't think it's an overstatement to say this, that Sumeru and Dendro came as quite a wave and turned the whole meta in over its head. Raiden, when she originally came out, was supposed to scale with energy recharge, and in that she was still pretty good. Personal preferences aside, Raiden Shogun is still by far the most powerful Electro DPS in terms of pure Electro damage, completely power creeping those that came before her like Kiching or Beidou, and even those that came after her like Sino or Miko. However, getting this massive DPS may not be as simple. As opposed to Dendro's EM stacking, building more traditional teams have always been more difficult. As with these teams comes the importance of the crit ratio. On a Hyper Carry or Rational Raiden, Rational Raiden, you'll need the standard 60% crit rate and 160% or more crit damage. You can make do with less, sure, I mean I've been doing that, but it's the golden number to look up to. And to achieve that, you'll have to deal with the arch nemesis of all, the hardest challenge Hoyoverse has designed: artifact grinding. So basically, you'll need a good crit ratio and then stack as much energy recharge as you can. The goal here is to have anywhere from 240 to 300% energy recharge. Once you're in the sweet spot, start stacking as much attack as you can. See, that's the problem. You have to play juggling here. Once a good balance of all of these is achieved, congratulations! You have your DPS Raiden. I suppose it should be obvious at this point, but yes, you use the R5 the catch with this build of Raiden. And also, her burst is her main source of damage this time. But hold up. This ability isn't completely useless either. The damage it does is nothing significant, but it does give you a damage bonus, which will scale with the talent level. So you should still level this up, even if building a DPS Raiden. Along with some other buffs from passive, this makes DPS Raiden quite a formidable unit. But every good unit needs an equally good team, except for Nooblet. Luckily, when it comes to team comps, Raiden is extremely free-to-play friendly. Her arguably the most popular popular team, the Raiden National or Rational, consists entirely of 4-star characters, one of whom is free. Her hypercarry team still needs only one additional but quite universal 5-star, Kazuha, along with the C6 4-star Sara, so it's a little more expensive. Still got nothing on Ayaka though. And lastly, her Hyperbloom team, which I just realized I completely glossed over previously. Though it does include Nahida, there can be a number of replacements that could be used in her stead. Also, talking about how you should build them, Rational and Hypercarry uses the same DPS Raiden, for whom the best artifact set is obviously the Emblem of Severed Fate. Sorry, I had to. The 2-piece bonus on this set give Raiden additional 25% energy recharge, right what she needs. And then, oh, this is a long sentence. The 4-piece bonus basically gives you more burst bonus that scales with your energy recharge. Caps at 75% bonus though, so basically any more than 300% energy recharge would be fruitless. This artifact set and this passive talent and this insane energy cost is what and why ER is the most important attribute when it comes to DPS Raiden. On that note, Raiden's also a great battery. Her skill randomly generates a particle on every hit, so that's something. For her Hyperbloom team, the go-to option is without a doubt the Gilded Dream set. As a Hyperbloom Raiden really only needs as much EM as possible, this set is pretty much the best in slot. The 2-piece bonus gives her 80 elemental mastery, plus the 4-piece bonus gives her... God, this is a whole wiki article. Basically, after triggering any elemental reactions for every character with a different element than the bearer, Raiden in this case, she gets 50 elemental mastery. And so since in a Hyperbloom team, there's generally only one Electro character, you get about 150 additional elemental mastery. Perfect. And now finally, her constellations and weapon. Yes, her second constellation is very good. With it activated, Raiden's burst ignores 60% of enemy defenses, which is insane, but again, in no way necessary. If you have enough Primo Gems, just save them, cause my gaming sensors and several leakers are telling me Nahida may soon get a rerun as well. So I'd recommend getting another amazing character over a constellation any day. Or maybe even use them on the Illuminated Bird. It's your choice. As for her weapon, yeah, it is sort of an upgrade, but the catch is almost just as good. And if you intend on spending anyway, I'd recommend getting a constellation over her weapon. I know I said I'll convince you to pull for her, but ended up being neutral regardless. So I have to say Raiden is a very worth it character and fits in incredibly with the meta. However, when I say this, I have to remember we aren't in Sumeru anymore. So does she work well with Fontaine characters? With Neuvillette? Nope. With Wriothesley? Nope. With Navia? Well, sort of. But that doesn't make her a bad character at all. She can be used in so many different team co-ops and fill in so many roles. I'm sure there's some version of Raiden that's just for you. Well, I can't help but speak for her, as she was my very first 5-star. It was her, definitely was. There was no other way. I refuse to accept you! So I sort of have a soft corner for her.
And a very hard center.
So yeah, if this revised version of the original convinced you, go pull for her. Let the enemies be torn
To oblivion!
Thanks a lot for watching. This is the second time I had to write and record this. So yeah, if you watched this far, also subscribe and press the bell icon. I mean, come on guys, there was supposed to be a message to the subscribers. How did you mess this up? Anyway, thanks again for watching and I'll see you next time.
Shogun, who was that?
Bhupendra Jogi.